So, friends, Queenslanders, countrymen, Shabbat Shalom, no, Shavuot Tov now. I said earlier in the service how having food always brings Jews together, so it's evidently true. I'm Rabbi Jonathan. It's lovely to be here again. My wife Sue is here with me over here, with Karen and Dom, and I welcome you to your Seder tonight. And I also want to say hello to those who are online and joining in at home. It's lovely to have you with us as well. I hope you can see us and hope you've got your matzah set up ready for you and your wine or grape juice. We have put on the table some matzah. These are not real. This is, but this is not. Okay, these are questions. We're not going to use them tonight, but you might want to look at them and ask yourself or ask those around you the questions during the meal if you've finished eating. Hard as that is to believe. But there are so many questions and responses and songs that actually the Seder, as you probably know, is a wonderful example of education because it uses stories and songs, questions and answers, smells, symbols, tastes. So really, it's all there, and there are already lots of questions. So, good. And we're also not following the tradition in a variety of ways. One of them is we're not going on till midnight. Oh, shame. We had a long, arduous journey to get here yesterday, so we're not going on till midnight. And one of them is that if you want to wash your hands at any time, feel free. I think that the hand washing part of the Seder is a hang back to times when you didn't wash your hands after you've been to the toilet. You needed to. I'm not going to do that bit, but you can feel free to do it. So we're going to get started, and remember that all questions are good. And I'm very happy to have questions from young and old tonight, but that's why we don't need these ones. We can come up with our own ones, okay? Questions are good. We don't always give answers to questions, not straight away anyway. So we've done page 3, and this Haggadah has been written, put together, obviously over generations of developments of Haggadot. The Haggadah is one of the most published books in the world. And numbers of different versions of the Haggadah. But luckily, or untraditionally, we're all using the same book. It is traditional for everybody to come along with different books and never be able to find a place and argue about where we are and why is the order different. And the order often is different, which is a bit frustrating and a bit confusing because Seder means order. But Jews aren't very good at order, so there you go. The page 3, the search for leaven, B'dikat Chametz. I am pleased to tell you that's been completed. The kitchen was Pesach dikt. I want to thank Gail and everybody who's been involved with Pesach dicking the kitchen and preparing this delicious meal and laying it out. And it's a bit of a Pesach miracle because when we were here this morning, we were sitting in the congregation, there were seats, and come back, and now there's tables laden with food and lovely things. So we've done that. We're going to start on page 4. And we're going to skip through. We're not doing all this book. Now in the presence of family and friends, we gather together with the whole household of Israel, linking our lives with the past and the future, listening once again to God's call to service. May God's presence be with us tonight. May those we love be blessed with wisdom. May all Israel share the taste of happiness and know the dignity that freedom brings. And you're invited to always respond in the italics or in the Hebrew. And you shall keep the festival of Matzot, for on this very day I brought you out of Mitzrayim. You shall observe this day throughout your generations as an everlasting law. Remember the day on which you went out of Mitzrayim from the house of slavery, and how God freed you with great strength. So there are 15 steps up to the Temple Mount. If you go to Jerusalem and you go to the southern wall, which is much more significant than the western wall, the southern wall actually has the 15 steps. Some of them are nice and crisp and square and new, but some of them are actually hollowed out, and they are the steps that our ancestors walked up with their offerings to offer them at the festival of Passover and the other two pilgrim festivals, which are Sukkot and Shavuot. And they would go up these 15 steps, and there are correspondingly 15 parts to the Seder, and we're going to sing through them. Now you probably know this tune. Kadesh Orchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rochza, Motzi Matzah, Motzi Matzah, Maror Korech, Shulchan Orech, Tzafun Barech, Halel Nitza, Halel Nirtza, Kadesh Uchatz, Kadesh Uchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rochza, Motzi Matzah, Maror Korech, Shulchan Orech, Tzafun Barech, Halel Nitza, Halel Nirtza. Good. Now we move on to the blessings on page 7. The candles are lit, but we haven't said the blessings, so now we will. May light shine on us, on all Israel, and on all the world. The Yom Tov candles are lit now, as you can see, and we say the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov. And we bless the children. May God bless you like Ephraim and Manasseh, and like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And we bless each other by saying, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face turn to you and give you peace. So, the symbolic number for tonight seems to be, who can tell me? 4. Okay, and one of those 4, okay, so if any time anybody spots 4 anythings, tell me, point it out, okay? Is that on heat, darling? It feels like it's on heat. Tonight we are going to drink 4 cups of wine or 4 cups of grape juice. Wine or grape juice, we say the blessing, Borei Pri Hagafen. It doesn't matter if it's fermented or not, but that's the blessing to say, so that's why it has to be one of those. Now, the tradition is that wine overflowing indicates joy overflowing. So in theory, you're supposed to fill it up to overflowing, and then when we say the blessing, drink a whole glass full. Your intention should be to drink a whole glass full. If you actually don't manage to drink it, it's okay as long as you intended to. Okay, but you don't really have to drink. We don't do too much tablecloth washing, so don't have to fill it up. I'm just demonstrating an overflowing cup of joy. Okay. Some of these cups we get to say, hold them, and then have to put them down before we get to drink them. Tonight we're going to drink 4 cups of wine or grape juice. Tradition speaks about the 4 corners of the earth. And we know that freedom must be everywhere. And so I'm going to stop a moment, having said that, because I forgot what I wanted to do. You know that we have Elijah's cup at the end of the Seder. When we get to Elijah's cup, we know that we're there. But you might also have heard the tradition of Miriam's cup. And I'm just going to say something about this. In the book of Numbers, Moses' elder sister, Miriam, dies, whilst the Israelites are camped at Kadesh in the desert. And immediately after she dies, the people once again start complaining that they do not have water to drink. I know it's difficult to believe, but Israelites had a reputation for complaining. Doesn't happen anymore, does it, Ross? No. From this juxtaposition of Miriam dying and then the people complaining that they haven't got water to drink, the rabbis developed a midrash, a rabbinic explanation why these two things together. And they said Miriam must have had a well of sweet water, which went with her wherever they went in the desert and fed the Israelites. And so when she died, the water dried up and they started complaining they didn't have enough to drink. Now, Miriam is considered to be a prophetess. And in terms of, because of this midrash, a new tradition is being added to Passover celebrations in egalitarian Jewish households and communities around the world. And I don't know if you've done this before, you probably have. And at the end of the service, a goblet of water is highlighted as Miriam's cup. Have you come across that one before? Yeah, some of you have and some of you haven't, okay. And it's here. I'm not going to tip it over to show you, but it is water. Is it water?
It's water, yeah.
I'm not going to do any magic with it either. Oh, look. Look, it's wine. No, that's not our tradition. Towards the end of the service, a goblet of water has been highlighted as Miriam's cup, alongside the cup of Elijah. Okay? And the cup of Elijah has been part of the Seder through the mists of time. Elijah is a prophet, Miriam is a prophetess. Today, we shed salty tears, not only recalling the bondage, the slavery of 3 millennia ago, but also for those Israelis still held hostage since the devastating attack on October the 7th, 2023. And we have a lemon on the Seder plate to represent the bitterness of the hostage situation and their pain and their anxiety of them and their families and Israel as a whole, all Israel around the Jewish world, and also the colour yellow for the hostage colour. Okay. So we remember at this point, we remember the hostages, but we also remember every innocent death on that day, October the 7th, and those that have followed. We who are used to safe water flowing at the turn of a tap must remember that life depends on clean water to drink, whether it is in Israel or in Gaza or here in Australia, where in Gaza this reliance has been painfully highlighted with the ongoing drought in South Australia as well, or in various other parts of our world. We rely on water. We remember. Whether it is bitter or polluted waters, or the destructive waters of flood, we expected when we flew in at noon yesterday to see flood waters all over Queensland. When we looked out at 10 o'clock at night, we couldn't see any, but I know there's still water coming out the sky, I see today. When we recall the water of the flood from Noah, we also increasingly around our world see cyclonic rain and rising waters, and in Queensland and New South Wales sweeping away homes, lives and livelihoods we cannot afford to forget. And so this year, as we celebrate the story of the Exodus from Egypt, the transition from slavery to freedom, as we recall the message of freedom and of human rights, not just for Jews, but for all people, because that's the message of Pesach, we bring Miriam's cup forward to the beginning of our Seder. Safe water is an essential for life, for all people, regardless of colour or creed, and for all plants and all the animals of creation. Water comes in many types: bitter and salty tears, or sweet and life-giving. The destructive flood or the polluted trickle, the refreshing rain and the sparkling dew for the crops. We talk of the waters above the firmament and the waters below the firmament. And soon we are going to be recounting the imprisoning sea of reeds, which become the miraculously parted way to freedom. And we still conclude our Seder remembering Elijah, who heralds the Messianic times. So tonight we'll start our Seder by recalling Miriam and her life-giving water, an essential need and a right for all creation on our way towards those Messianic times for which we strive and yearn. So we use a new blessing tonight as we contemplate our dependence on the essentials of life. And the blessing is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ruach Ha'olam Oseh Minei Hamayim. We praise you, eternal our God, Spirit of the universe, creator of every type of water. So that's our chidush, our innovation for tonight's Seder. And now we continue, and we come to fill our first cup of wine or grape juice, and we hold it up, and we remember the first of the promises of redemption, and we read together, I am the Eternal, and I will free you from the burdens of Mitzrayim. And then we go to the top of page 10, and we sing the blessing, and we're going to do both blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'chabanu mikol am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, modim l'simcha, chagim uzmanim l'sason, et yom chag hamatzot hazeh, zaman cherutenu mikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kifanu v'achata, v'yotanu kirashta, mikol ha'amim, mo'adei kodshecha, b'simcha uv'sason inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. Now, on Saturday night, which is tonight on page 11, we add the Havdalah prayers. We probably should drink after that blessing. And then we add Havdalah prayers. We don't do Borei Ma'orei Ha'esh because you aren't supposed to light a candle on Shabbat and you're not supposed to light a candle on the festival. So we actually go from one to the other. So luckily the candle's already lit and we don't do the Havdalah candle. So we don't do that blessing, but we do the next one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh lechol. We praise you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who makes a difference between holy and holy, between light and light, between Israel and other peoples, between the seventh day and the festival of Pesach, between the holiness of Shabbat and the holiness of Yom Tov. We thank you for having blessed your people Israel with the knowledge of holiness. Now, it's interesting, we're supposed to be revising this Haggadah. We've had a problem in getting the proofs of the original, and I've got to get them from John because it's really getting on. But there are some corrections, and obviously Havdalah is not right there, which is why I did it like that. We aren't going from holy to unholy, from holy to ordinary, we're going from holy to holy. Okay, on the first night of Pesach, we continue with the Shehechianu, because this is the first time, and that's when we drink actually, okay? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. Okay, and we lean, don't forget to lean to the left. You know, anybody know why we lean to the left? Sorry?
We're not slaves.
Yes, but we're not slaves, true. So why lean to the left to show we're not slaves? That's because when the Seder was developed, it was under Roman rule. And the Romans were the exemplar of freedom. And the Romans would sit, the rich Romans, would sit on their chaise longue, laying out that way, lean to the left, and with bunches of grapes in their mouth. So we lean to the left because we're replicating what the Romans did because they were free. And that's why we lean to the left. Okay, so we turn to page 14 and we dip some parsley. Take some parsley, if you've got some around somewhere near, and we're going to dip it in the salt water, and this is the first dipping of the evening. And then we're going to say the blessing, and then we're going to eat it. And the water should be salty to remember the tears of slavery. Okay, we'll say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adama. Now, children, younger people, watch carefully. This could be in your interest. We have in this matzah cover 3 matzahs. There's the one at the top, there's the one in the middle, and there's the one at the bottom. What's the special number for Pesach? Well, there's only 3 matzahs. What's the special number for Pesach? Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, all right, if you insist. How many pieces of matzah have I got now? 4. Okay, good, right. So this middle one, that's now 2, is called the afikomen. And so we're going to hide it. But later on, you're going to find it. And we actually can't finish the Seder till you do find it. And when we find it, it's going to have to match with that piece. Okay, so bring it to me carefully. Don't fall over and smash it on the way, or we'll be stuck here all night. Okay, it's got to match that piece, right? So when you find it, it'll be wrapped up in a white serviette. Okay, so bring it to me and make sure it matches. You might get a prize, I don't know. Okay, see you watching? Good, good, good. So now you know what's happening. Right, now carrying on. Page 17. What does Haggadah mean? It means telling the story. So we're going to tell the story of being slaves in Egypt and finally coming out to freedom. So, matzah. Somebody would like to read this part in bold. Please feel free with a big voice on page 17. This is the bread of poverty. Any takers? Yeah, go on then. Yep, you can do it. You can do it in Aramaic if you prefer. Amen. Now that is a really impressive Aramaic accent. This is not Hebrew. It would be Ha-lechem oni, the poor bread, but ha-lachma on anya is the Aramaic version, because that's what they spoke. So it's talking about the bread of poverty, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Okay, and it invites us. What's your name?
With a special Israeli accent.
Israeli Aramaic accent. It's impressive. Tammy. Hey. Okay, good. I've commented on your lovely accent before, haven't I? Yes, I think last time. Okay. Does anybody know the tune for Halachma Anya? No? Skip that thing. Right. Now we come to page 19, to the 4 questions. Don't forget you're going to point out if we get to any special numbers. Anybody notice anything about numbers? 4. Oh, yes, 4 again. Okay. So if you look at your Pesach song sheet, not that you need it because it's actually on page 19 as well, so it doesn't matter. Forget that. Okay. Okay, you have a choice. It's either on the Pesach song sheet or in the prayer book, in the Haggadah, Manish Tana. Now, do we have a volunteer to sing this? Edward? Are you going to do Manish Tana? Well, that's nearly you, isn't it? Okay, you can. I'll tell you what. Anybody else who wants to do Manish Tana with Edward, please feel free. Okay? Well, fantastic 4 questions. I think they need all the kids did a great job, so let's give them a round of applause. Very good. We're not going to answer the questions yet, though. Page 20. If you listen carefully, the answers will come, sort of, but listen out for them. Page 20. Let's read together. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, but God took us out of there with a mighty hand and a strong arm. If God had not taken our ancestors out of Egypt, then we, our children and grandchildren, would still be enslaved to a Pharaoh in Egypt. So even if we were all wise and clever, experienced and learned in Torah, it would still be our duty to tell about the Exodus from Egypt. The more people talk about the story of the Exodus, the more praise is deserved. We were once slaves, but now we are free people. And that's Avadim Hayinu. So on the next page, you've actually got it musically. Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu, Ata b'nei Chorin, b'nei Chorin. Avadim Hayinu, Ata b'nei Chorin, b'nei Chorin. Avadim Hayinu, Ata b'nei Chorin, b'nei Chorin. Now, the Seder, the thing we did at the beginning about Miriam's cup and its new significance for this year, because of what's happened in Israel and Gaza and climate changing and everything, that's responding to our world. But it's not new, because the Seder actually responds whenever something significant is happening in the world, and it might get added in temporarily or permanently. And now we remember a story from our past, and it's from nearly 2,000 years ago, and it's from the times of Roman oppression. And it says, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Joshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarfon. These are the five leaders of... See, the bells ring when you mention them. It rings a bell. Those 5 pinnacles of the Jewish leadership of that time. And they were sitting around the Seder table not only till midnight. We'll finish about 10. Not only till midnight, but so deep in discussion and planning and arguments and debates about the right thing to do, the right way forward, that they were arguing all night, discussing apparently the Exodus, until the students came and said to them, Rabbis, the dawn is breaking. It's time to say the Shema for the morning prayers. The question is, what were they talking about? Were they really talking about the Exodus all night? Actually, what they were probably doing was talking about how to escape from the oppression of Rome, how to free themselves from their own slavery in their own times. And there is the Roman revolt, the revolt against Rome, led by Bar Kokhba, Jewish leader, a very big uprising that lasted 4 or 5 years, from 130 to 135 of the Common Era. Rabbi Akiva, the leader, he thought that Bar Kokhba was the Messiah. He was the Jewish leader that was going to throw off the yoke of Rome and save the Jewish people. And that's what they were discussing. And he was wrong. And the Messiah hasn't come yet. We can see, because when the Messianic times come, the lion will lie down with the lamb, and people will sit, everyone under their vine and fig tree, and nobody will terrorize them. We'll all be safe. The world will be peaceful and harmonious. That's the Jewish test. Has that time come yet? Has that time come yet? Sadly not. Okay, so as far as we're concerned, we haven't had a Messiah yet. But Akiva thought that they were going to win against the Romans. And that's what that story is. That's why it's there. So it's reflecting that time in our history. Now, we're going to move on to page 23, where we seem to have 4 hairy eggs. Okay, see the page 23? 4 green hairy eggs. Right, what are they really supposed to be? The 4 children. Okay. Anybody going to point out anything about numbers any time?
4.
Oh, well spotted. Well spotted, that man. Okay, 4 children. Now, I want to tell you something about the 4 number. How many pieces of matzah did we start with?
4.
No. 3. We had to make 4. Right? How many children ask questions?
3.
If you listen carefully, there are 3 children who ask questions and 1 who doesn't know how to ask. I have a colleague who has a theory that the number for Pesach was originally 3. Only became 4 because of the Trinity. Right?
No, absolutely not.
That the suggestion originally, the number was 3, and if you look carefully, you'll see all these 4s have been sort of added to make them 4. They were originally 3, so it doesn't entirely work, but that's her theory anyway. So why do you say absolutely not?
Yeah, we're so being so scared.
Okay, well, there's lots of things where we respond to what other people do. Okay, so let's hear from 4 readers. Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael, Baruch Hu. Keneged arba'a vanim divra Torah. Echad hacham, echad rasha, ve'echad tam. That's the 3 types. Ve'echad she'eino yodea lish'ol. Let's hear from them. Can we have a reader to read the first bit? A tradition? Yep. Barry.
Tradition taught of 4 voices. 4 times the Torah tells us to speak about the Exodus from Mitzrayim. 4 times the Torah repeats, and you shall tell your child on that day. From these words, our history understands that there are 4 different kinds of people. To each we reply in a different way. There is a wise one, a wicked one, a simple one, and one who is not able to ask any question.
Thank you. So just before we go on to those 4 types, I would say you could think that the 4 is obviously original because there are 4 promises of freedom. And that's in the Torah. Right? So 4 must be the real number. Actually, there are 5, which is why we have Elijah's cup. So we say there are 4 promises of redemption and the other one. So the 4 doesn't quite work there either, Chloe. Phoebe, sorry. So, you know, they're open questions here. So Phoebe, would you be the wise child?
The wise child asks, what are the stories, laws, and judgments which the eternal our God has commanded of you? To such a question, we must explain the laws of Pesach in detail and remember that no afikomen dessert must be eaten after the Passover offering.
Okay, thank you. So, who would like to be a wicked child? Ethan? Good. Sure you're not.
What does the service mean to you? By the words to you, the child says that this Seder service is only for you. So we answer the question in the words of the Torah. This is done on account of what the Eternal did for me when I went free from Mitzrayim. For me, not for you, because if you had been there, you would not have been redeemed.
Nice. Okay, really good. What did I say about Seder being a good example of education? This is not a good example of education. Yeah? God save me, but if it been you, forget it. There's a problem with that response. What does the wise child say? The wise child asked, what are these laws and judgments which the eternal our God has commanded you? But it actually says the same. He says you, not us. And the wicked one says, what does this mean to you? Not us, not me. Right? So actually the way that the question is phrased is the same. If you wanted to say, why do you say you? Don't you count yourself as one of us? Then you could respond the same to the wise question as to the wicked question. So that suggests that it's a matter of the context, of the way the question is asked, the tone of voice, if you like. Okay. So let's go on to Tam. Who would like to be a simple child? Go on. Somebody can put their hand up to be simple. Yeah, go on then.
The simple child asked, Marze, what's this? We answered the Torah with a strong hand. Hashem brought us out from Mitzrayim, from the house of slavery.
Thank you. We don't need to say Hashem though, because God is English. Okay, people who say Hashem are protecting Hebrew. And anyway, we're in a service, so there's no reason not to say Adonai or Yud He Vav He or something. So as in this case, even the Orthodox authorities say you don't need to say Hashem. But thank you for the question. So, simple, child, thank you. Now, we've got one more. V'she'eino yodea lish'ol. As for the child who can't ask a question. So who would like to tell how we respond to the child that can't ask the question? Okay, go on in.
As for the child who can't ask a question, you must gently explain, as the word teaches, you shall tell your child on that day, this is because of everything God did for me when I came out of Egypt.
Lovely, thank you. Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Edward. So we're doing this because God did this for us. Okay? Not saying God did this for our ancestors all that time back, because we're the beneficiaries. We are here because of the freedom of our people all those generations ago. Let's now read at the top of page 26. If God had not taken our ancestors out from Egypt, then we would still all be slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, along with our children and our children's children. So even if we were all wise and clever and well learned, it would still be a mitzvah for us to retell the story of the Exodus from Egypt, because the more and the longer and the better we tell the story, the more we should be praised. So there are many questions, but now we're going to try finding some answers. So at the bottom of the page, we read, at first, our ancestors worshipped idols. But then God took our ancestor Abraham and led him to the land of Canaan in order to save God. Blessed be God who keeps the promise to Israel. Blessed be God. Of course, that needs to be adjusted because the story tells us that God took Abraham and Sarah, not just Abraham, led them to the land of Canaan. Now, that was all about the matzah. So now I'm going to cover the matzah, and you're going to hold up your wine glass again, but you're not going to drink it yet. Okay? And we say together, God's promise has given us strength. For not only one enemy has risen against us to destroy us, but in every generation people rise against us, but the Holy One saves us from their hand. So now we put it down again. And now we come to an interesting piece on page 28. And the reason it's interesting is because we find almost no prayers in the Torah. Because the tabernacle didn't use prayers. The priests offered offerings, but really there weren't any prayers to speak of. Except this is written in Deuteronomy. When you take your offerings to the priests, you should say these words. So what we're going to read now is the words we're supposed to, which Deuteronomy tells us. And this is the closest, really, we get to a prayer in the Torah. So let's have somebody volunteer to read that so we can all hear it nicely. Tamar, did you put your hand up? Yep, go on in.
You remember our first ancestor, a wandering Aramean, a nomad, who went down to Mitzrayim to live there as a stranger, together with only a few people. There they became a great nation, powerful and great in number, but the Egyptians treated us badly. They persecuted us and made us slaves. We cried out to God, and God heard our voice. God saw our persecution, our misery, and our oppression, and God took us out of Mitzrayim with great power, signs and wonders. And God brought us to this place and gave us this land flowing with milk and honey.
Thank you. Now I'm going to say two quick things. First of all, I'm going to say honey. We know about milk and honey, the land of milk and honey. You might not be aware, but that's not bee honey. It's date honey. It's the syrup from dates. When they talk about honey in the Bible, they hadn't really domesticated bees. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about honey. The other thing is a quick break for a commercial. And the commercial is at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in about, 14 hours' time. Some of us are going to be back here for our first day Pesach breakfast, and it's a study breakfast. So bring your matzah, we'll probably have some matzah left, but bring your matzah and whatever you like on your matzah. I'm bringing black cherry jam because that's our favourite way of eating matzah. Butter and black cherry jam. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the reason I'm putting this commercial break in here is because we are going to be looking at the other half of this story, which we never read. But it wasn't only the Israelites who were slaves in Egypt. So tomorrow we're going to be studying a bit of the bit we don't normally read, the censored bit. Aha! So, mystery? Good. Come and find out. So now we turn to this wonderful illustration, double page spread. And can you find the Egyptian with a axe in his head? Looks like it, doesn't it? Okay. Those very clever children at the King David School, very creative pictures we're going to enjoy. And I can tell they're clever and creative because both our children went there. And so you see, what are they building in the middle of the picture? It looks like they're building a pyramid. That is not correct. They're working round the pyramid. The pyramids were already there. What they're actually building as slaves were the store cities of Pitom and Ramesses. So you can see them working really hard, carrying great rocks on their back. That's what they're building, the store cities. So you can see the pyramids are all there, and they're building Pitom and Ramesses, the store cities. Okay. And that's Pharaoh in his multicoloured coat. Okay. At this point, Gail's going to lead us in a song that I don't know. Bang, bang, bang. It sounds like Eurovision. That was lovely. Turn to page 34, please. Page 34. And we read together, "It is our privilege to observe Pesach year after year. The Torah commands us to tell the children of Israel about God's promise of freedom, and we sing as Israel did at the shores of the sea, to the tune of our dear who. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, norati l'adol sefele Adonai lo, le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed." Now we come to this double-page spread is a preview of what's to come. Not quite in the right page, but we're getting to it. Turn to the one after that. And please make sure you've got a serviette handy. Okay, good. We are coming to the 10 plagues. And when we remember the 10 plagues, we diminish our joy. Remember the overflowing cup of joy? We diminish it for every plague, for all the suffering of the Egyptians. Well, that's worth reflecting on. We're not here remembering the suffering of the Israelites, but adding the suffering of the Egyptians to our Seder. And you can see a selection of frogs there. Can anybody? What's the problematic frog in Queensland?
Cane toad.
The cane toad. Can anybody find a cane toad here? Sorry, Edward, say it again. Yes, and isn't there a song about that? Okay, frogs here, frogs there, frogs are jumping everywhere, that one? Yeah. Okay, so there's an important message here, page 37. Would somebody like to read it loudly for us so we can all hear it at the top of the page? It's an important midrash. It's a rabbinic expansion on the story. It's a commentary, but it's really important. And so somebody read it for us. Yes, go on.
Our rabbis taught when the Egyptian armies were drowning in the sea, all the angels in heaven began to sing with joy. God silenced them by saying, "My children are drowning and you sing praises." So to this day we still lessen our own joy by taking one drop of wine from the cup as we remember those 10 terrible plagues. Okay,
so what that tells us is all people are God's creation. God, God's just not just supporting Israel. God looks after all people. And if God's people are suffering, even if they're not Israelites, the angels should not be singing, and we should all be aware of pain and suffering amongst any people, not only Jews and Israelites. So as we say, we're going to sing, and we'll dip our finger in and reduce our joy with one drop for every plague, and we're actually going to do it twice, so you'll end up with 20 drops less wine. Okay, here we go. Dam sefardea kinim arov dever shechin barad arbe choshech makot bechorot elu okay, blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, disease, boils, hail, and locusts, darkness, death of the firstborn. These were the 10 plagues. Okay, so there's the plagues, and then turning back, one of them is the wild beasts, that double-page picture, and then the other one that we don't often talk about is the UFOs. The giant insects and the UFOs. Okay. Now, turning forward to page 41. We have a song that everybody can join in with. You don't need to know many words, just one. Dayenu. And part of Dayenu, the first part. Dayenu. You can join in the verses as well. And in fact, they're written here for you on this beautifully produced sheet, page 2. If you want to sing them on the sheet. Now, what it's saying is, if God had taken us out of Egypt and left us in the desert, that would have been enough. I'm not so sure. If God had taken us out of Egypt and not divided the sea for us, that would have been enough. Maybe not. And if God had split the sea but not brought us onto dry land, that would have been enough. Yeah, I think that the tune is good. Ilu ilu hotzianu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim hotzianu mi Mitzrayim dayenu day dayenu day dayenu day dayenu 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 day dayenu day dayenu day dayenu 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 ilu natan natan lanu natan lanu et hashabat natan lanu et hashabat dayenu 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 lanu, natan lanu et haTorah, natan lanu et haTorah, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Okay. So then we get to the next double page spread, which as you can see is the Egyptians drowning in the Sea of Reeds. By the way, this is not the Red Sea. God did not split the Red Sea. It's in Hebrew, Yam Suf. Tamar, how do we translate that? Sea of Reeds. Suf, reeds. Okay? Why then do we think it's the Red Sea and continue to teach our children wrongly? Because the King James Version of the Bible was a translation from the Hebrew, and it was published before English spelling was standardized. Now, this is a question only for the children. What is the letter in the alphabet between D and F? Good. So the letter was pronounced E. So R-E-D spells reed. That's okay. It was not standardized, but the E letter, reed. So the Reed Sea. So if you see red, you read reed. Okay? And it's further confused because there is a Red Sea in Israel, down by Eilat. And it's called red because it reflects the mountains of Edom. Edom means red as well. Okay, the red mountains because they've got iron in them. And like the red centre in Australia, the earth is red. And so in the sunset, the sea looks red. But it's not the Red Sea, which is the Reed Sea, which is split. It's a different sea. The wrong side of the Sinai. Quite the other side of the Sinai. Okay? So actually the Sea of Reeds, the Egyptians came round, was by Gaza, between the top of the Sinai and the Gaza Peninsula. That's the Sea of Reeds. Okay, so having corrected that, how did the Israelites get so I said it was a miracle. Now I just need to address that. Why was it a miracle, the parting of the Sea of Reeds? Yes?
Because the sea doesn't usually part randomly.
Well, you're right. The sea doesn't part randomly. But if we look at the story in the Torah, it doesn't say it parts randomly. It actually says that a strong east wind blew through the night, and in the morning there was dry land. Now, what do we call that? If we don't call it a miracle, we call it a causeway, a very low tide, right? And it was the middle of the month of the spring equinox. And what's the miracle? If that's not a miracle, if that's a geographic phenomena in that area, then what's the miracle? Maybe that the Israelites were there at the right time. But thinking back, where did Moses get his education? Pharaoh, not only in Egypt, but in Pharaoh's court in Egypt, right? Like he would know all about the geographic features of all around Egypt. He'd probably been on a field trip there. So perhaps he knew this happened. In which case, how do we understand? So whether you call that, we don't really believe in miracles that overturn the natural world. But in this case, we don't need to, because it says a strong east wind blew, and in the morning there was a causeway. And that sand was firm, but it was wet, as you would imagine. What were the Israelites travelling on? Foot. And how do feet work on wet sand? Fairly well. Yeah? If you look down at your foot on wet sand, you see an outline in silver, because that's because you're pushing the water out from under your foot. But basically, your foot spreads the load well, and you can walk across wet sand. How do horses' hooves go on wet sand? Not so good. Especially when they've got heavy charioteers with armour on them, and big chariots. So what happened is the Egyptians came charging up after them, following on to the wet sand. Horses' hooves went stuck in the sand, tumbled head over heels, crashed from behind by heavy chariots with narrow iron wheels, and we had a multi-chariot pile-up. And by the time they got themselves sorted out, the causeway had gone. The equinox was finished, the tide's rising, and they drowned. That's my understanding of what happened, because I don't believe that God kills people. As the rabbis said, the angels celebrated, and God told them they shouldn't be celebrating because God's Egyptian people were drowned. Okay, so there's that picture, and now we turn to the next page. And so we've said Dayenu, it would be enough, but God's done all these things for us. And let's read about page 45. Everyone reads. Therefore, how much more so should we give thanks for the many good things God has done for us? God brought us out of Egypt and punished the Egyptians, split the sea for us, and led us through it on dry land, and watched over us in the desert for 40 years. God fed us with manna. God gave us Shabbat and brought us to Mount Sinai. God gave us the Torah and brought us to the land of Israel. God built the temple for us and made us a holy people so that at the end of time we could help to make the world perfect. All right. So, at least two readers. We've got two readers. Yeah. We're going to look at the Seder plate, page 47. These questions can be asked by someone who's very young. Somebody else who's very young and hasn't asked anything yet who would like to. Fairly young. Except it's difficult because you've got a nasty name. Rabbi Gamaliel. Okay. So who would like to read that? Nobody? Okay. Rabbi Gamaliel said, if you don't explain these 3 things at Pesach, you have not really fulfilled the mitzvah. And these 3 are the Pesach offering, Pesach, the matzah, the unleavened bread, and the maror, the bitter herbs. So I'm going to hold up the shank bone, roasted shank bone. Pesach al shum ma. What's the meaning of this Pesach? Who would like to explain? Answer?
Yeah, I'll answer. Because the Holy One passed over the houses of our people in Mitzrayim, as it is written. You shall say, it is the Passover offering for the Eternal, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Mitzrayim, and punished the Egyptians and spared our houses.
Thank you. Actually, Zeroah, the shank bone, is... we talk about God having an outstretched arm, and Zeroah Natuya, the outstretched arm. So the connection is really about outstretched arm, protection, God's power. So the shank bone, Zeroah. Okay, and now for the matzah, who will say matzah? I'll shum, where is it? Here it is. Out again. Matzah zo she'anu ochlim al shum ma. What's this all about? Somebody tell us. Yeah? Top of page 48. Answer.
Because the Torah tells us they baked the dough which they had brought out of Mitzrayim into unleavened bread. And they were driven out of Mitzrayim and could not play, nor had they prepared any food for their children.
Good, thank you. So the story is that they put the dough on their shoulders and they were in such a rush to get out in the hot sun that the dough baked on their shoulders. Now because of that, I'm going to invite everybody who's young enough to do this to get a piece of matzah, and you'll notice that they specially make the matzah with a curve on it, to balance it on their shoulders, and then to walk around their table and back to their place without dropping it. So, are we ready? Everybody younger than... What?
Younger than what?
Younger than bar mitzvah. Well, anybody who wants to, any age, but you're not allowed to hold it, you've got to balance it, that's the point. Or you could try holding it with your... Oh, don't, try not to drop it, because it's quite breakable. Okay, so anybody had tried this? Oh, good, Ethan, you put it the wrong way out. It's not, you haven't got the curve helping you there.
It already broke.
Yeah, maybe length, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, off you go. Go on, Ebba, try. Ebba, try.
Try with this.
Yeah, but I would... Good. Okay, other way. Right, that's it. Oh, very impressive. This is a posture exercise. Oh, two-way traffic. That's impressive. That's impressive. I'm glad I'm not sweeping up. Very good. You're making it harder for yourself. You can go though if you want. I don't mind. Go on. Technically, it's fine. Giving it a chance to be well toasted. Okay, well done. Let's give him a clap.
It's cut the tail, so I grabbed it, but you're not supposed to grab it.
You're very honest, Edward. Thank you. That's a good trait. Okay. The problem with that explanation that they had it on their shoulders is that it actually contradicts what we read before, that this is the poor bread that they ate in Egypt. So we've actually got two different explanations for matzah. And really, if you think about it, you have to put matzah in a really, really hot oven. If they put themselves, if the sun was that hot, they'd be dropping. Right? Really, it would have cooked only slowly. It probably just would have got a crust on top of it and still been raw inside. So really, you can't cook it on your shoulders. Besides, they're in a rush to get out. They weren't going to be balancing on their shoulders. And so it's probably more about being poor bread because they were slaves. And the only problem with that explanation, because they would say yeast is a luxury. Nice, puffy, delicious puffed bread. But actually, yeast is very prolific, productive. Once you've got a bit of yeast, it grows itself, and so as you know. So neither explanation is really very good. What we do know is that matzah would not have looked like that. It would not even have looked like that, although that's probably closer. If you've seen they're cooking in the Bedouin, cooking like an upturned wok over a fire, and you throw the dough onto it, thin dough, and it immediately cooks and puffs up. That's more like what we're talking about. It's just cooked before it had time for the yeast to develop and go puffy. So really, this is our modern day interpretation of it. This is probably Shemura matzah. Shemura means thoroughly observed. Somebody last year told somebody coming to our Seder that I wasn't a proper rabbi and we weren't going to use proper matzah. And if Aviv matzah from Israel is not kosher enough for them, stupid, but this is supposed to be super kosher, probably super expensive, I dare say.
It is.
Yes. Well, do you want to take it back or save it for next year? Okay. Let us move along to the matzah. Maror bitter herbs. This is the exciting bit coming up. Now, I can't hold up the bitter herbs very easily, although I must say it's very pretty. I've never thought of doing bi-coloured bitter herbs. Okay. All right. I actually like to use raw horseradish because it tends to bring tears to your eyes quicker and to your throat. But, okay. Why do we eat this? Al-Shumma, what's this all about? Somebody tell us about bitter herbs. Ross.
It is because the Egyptians made the lives of our ancestors sad in Mitzrayim. As it is written, they made life bitter for them with hard work, with clay and bricks, and with all kinds of work in the field. Whatever work they did was backbreaking.
Okay, thank you. So, now we have a Haggadah that somewhere in storage. It's a new Haggadah, fairly new Haggadah, very creative. It's called the BOvS Haggadah. It was commissioned by a family from an individual artist, scholar, and then they produced it in facsimile. So we've got the facsimile version. It's a beautiful Haggadah. And in this one it says, in every generation we should see it as if we ourselves had come out of Egypt. We've got to imagine being slaves ourselves and coming into freedom. And the way it does it, it has a double-page spread, and it has images of all the women through Jewish history, different styles of clothing at different periods, and of all the men, different styles of clothing in different periods, up from Sarah and Abraham up to our own time. And between each of them is a little mirror. And when you look into the page, you can see yourself reflected in every generation of Jewish history. It's really clever. And that is the idea of this part. We're going to read, in every generation, it's our duty to think of ourselves as though we personally had come out of Mitzrayim. As is written, you should tell your child on that day, this Seder is on account of what God did for me when I came out of Egypt. It's not only our ancestors that the Holy One redeemed from slavery, but by redeeming them, we too were redeemed. As it is written, God took us out from there so that God might take us to the land which God had sworn to our ancestors. So, now we cover up the matzah again, and we read together, therefore, let us rejoice at the wonder of our deliverance. God took us from slavery to freedom, from sadness to joy, from sorrow to singing, from darkness to a great light, from slavery to redemption. So let us sing a new song before God. Hallelujah. 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 Te Adonai. Hallelujah. Shem Adonai Yehi. Shem Adonai Mavorach. Me'ata ve'ad olam. Me'mizrach shemesh ad mavo. Mahula Shem Adonai. Ram al kol goyim Adonai. Al hashamayim kevodo. Mikadonai Eloheinu. Hamagbi lashabet. Hamash pili lirot. Bashemayim ubaretz. Mekimi me'afadal. Me'ashpot yarim evyono shivi im nedivei amo. Moshivi akeret habayit em habanim semecha. Hallelujah. And we'll just do a little bit of B'tzeit Yisrael. B'tzeit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. B'tzeit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. Let's read the English. When Israel went out of Mitzrayim, Jacob's household from a people of strange speech, Judah became God's sanctuary, Israel God's dominion. The sea saw it and fled. The Jordan turned backward. The mountains skip like rams and the hills like lambs. Why is it, O sea, that you flee? Why, O Jordan, do you turn backward? You mountains, why do you skip like rams? You hills, why do you skip like lambs? O earth, tremble at God's presence, at the presence of the God of Jacob, who turns the rock into a pool of water, the flint stone into a flowing spring. And so, the second cup, Gail, is your sign. Yeah, you got it. I will deliver you from their slavery is the promise. Let's read. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher ga'alnu v'ga'al et avoteinu mimitzrayim. We'll read it in English now. Blessed are you, eternal ruler of the universe, who has redeemed us and our ancestors from Mitzrayim and enabled us to reach this night, that we may eat matzah and maror yami. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we reach all the holidays and festivals in peace, rejoicing in the rebuilding of Zion and joyful at this service. There we shall sing a new song of praise to you for our rescue and for our freedom. Blessed are you, O eternal God, who has redeemed Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Lean to the left. Okay. Now we come to the second not hand washing, and then we turn to page 54. What?
Second hand washing.
Okay, on page 54. There's some complicated instructions coming up now. We raise all 3 matzot. How many are in here now? How many were there before? How many were there then? We made 4. How many are there now? Because we've hidden them. Okay, it's good. Don't forget, the afikomen is hidden now. So, the first is a blessing for eating food. So, hamotzi lechem min haaretz is the blessing for bread. This is bread. It's unleavened bread, but still bread. So, the normal blessing is hamotzi lechem min haaretz. When tomorrow morning or whatever the day is after that, Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, for the rest of the week of Pesach, you have your Pesach matzah for breakfast. The blessing is hamotzi lechem min haaretz. But tonight, it has a second blessing, and that's actually for eating matzah. So the blessing is v'tzivanu al achilat matzah, who commanded us to eat matzah. So the good news, if it has that effect on your digestion that it sometimes does, it dries people up, is you don't have to eat matzah through the week of Pesach. It does absorb things. It's very absorbent. It's like eating kitchen paper, right? I often think it's like eating you might as well eat the box. You don't have to eat matzah for the whole week of Pesach. You do have to refrain from chametz, traditionally, but the matzah that you have to eat is tonight only. Oh, that's a relief. Let my people go. So, basically, we say the first blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We put down the bottom matzah and we recite the second blessing, holding the top and middle matzah. I don't know why that is. Take the top and the remaining part of the middle matzah. Almost. You can bring the eggs now. As long as you don't disturb us. Right. So we've got these 2 bits of matzah and we we say the blessing, which is the one for matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. I should hear a collective polyphonic crunch around the room. Ah, we won't get it from this. That really is like the box. Anybody would try the Shemura matzah? It's soft wholemeal matzah. Anybody? A lot of what?
A lot of jam on that one.
No, I think it means more than a lot of jam. The Shemura matzah makes you appreciate the non-Shemura matzah. Oh, I mustn't eat that one. That's the one we're protecting. Yes. Okay. Now, don't start on the eggs yet. We're just handing them out. We're handing them out, but now we turn to page 55. It's beginning to get exciting now, isn't it? Yeah. The bitter herbs. Now, we're not going to do it quite the way it says here. I think this is too easy. Okay? So, what we're going to do is look at page 56. Hillel, there were two schools of rabbis, Hillel and Shammai. Shammai was more traditional, more strict, the letter of the law. Okay? And Hillel was more moderate. He was the progressive rabbi. And Hillel said, make yourself a fire extinguisher. So this is how you do it. Take 2 pieces of matzah. Okay? 2 pieces of matzah. On one piece, put your bitter herbs. Yum, 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 yum. On top of the bitter herbs, should look like, here's one I prepared earlier, about a second earlier. Okay? On the top of your bitter herbs, you put the charoset, the sweet, yummy mix. I don't know if this charoset's got nuts, but you might, if it's got nuts, be warned if you can't eat nuts. I think it has got walnuts in it. Okay, so it should look like this now. And then you put the top of the sandwich on. Okay, like that. If you're right-handed, then hold it in your left hand. This is your fire extinguisher. Don't eat it, just hold it. Ready? Now we're going to take some maror. The bitter herbs, a goodly spoonful. Okay, so in your right hand you've got your bitter herbs. In your left hand you've got the fire extinguisher. You're not supposed to be eating the fire extinguisher yet. Right, the fire extinguisher is for when you get a fire. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to say the blessing for the bitter herbs. Then we're going to eat the bitter herbs. And wait for an effect on your eyes, your throat, your nose. And when the fire is burning, help yourself to the fire extinguisher. But wait till there's some fire, because it's supposed to bring tears to your eyes and burn your throat. You're feeling what it's like to be a slave. The taskmasters in Egypt. Okay, so we ready for the blessing? Al achilat maror, for eating bitter herbs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Wait, swallow. If it's having the effect, use the fire extinguisher. Oh. Thank you, Hillel. In the pub quiz, when they ask you who invented the sandwich, you can say Hillel, and they'll say no, it was the Duke of Sandwich. You can say no, it's in the Haggadah years before Hillel. Right. Years before sandwich. So now it says Shulchan Orech, serve the meal. So start with the eggs and off we go. There's probably instructions on how to serve the meal and how it's going to work, but I don't know, so Gail will tell us. In the meantime, start enjoying your egg. Enjoy chasing your egg around the bowl of salt water. And bear in mind that we have eggs.
I know.
And why do we have eggs? It's not because of Easter eggs. That's the other way round. It's because it's a springtime festival and eggs represent new life. I'm not sure that hard-boiled eggs do such a good job of new life, but anyway, that's the egg connection, and that's also why the Christians have Easter eggs, the same reason, and it's connected to this Pesach egg, and Easter in some countries is actually called Pesach, right? Pasch. So there is more than a passing similarity. You might prefer, kids might prefer a chocolate egg to an egg swimming in salt water, but this is not a chocolate Seder. We can do a chocolate Seder, but this is not it. So, I will say, B'te'avon, enjoy your meal.
So we can get ready, yes?
I would say Ross likes his crane and he's trying his hard-boiled egg with crane on top.
Okay.
Is it good? Okay, I'll try that. Let's make sure we've still got the half there. Yeah.
Oh, you don't like eggs?
Oh, is that a way of dealing with the eggs?
Hard-boiled, yeah.
You don't have to eat the egg. Right. Oh, wow.
It's nice to put one on top.
I've just found the menu and the eggs aren't even on the menu. So what time is it now? Oh, not bad. It's always hard to time the first part and tell people when the food is needed.
That was fun.
So you like the not washing your hands a second?
Yes, I think that's right. That made me laugh.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me to do it on Pesach. For progressive Jews, you don't wash your hands before Kiddush.
Yeah.
Suddenly start doing things more firmly.
Yeah, Pesach.
Oh, yum, thank you.
There's two gluten-free. Who are the gluten-free? Gluten-free? There's two gluten-free.
Gluten-free Canadian.
Going once, going twice, getting gluten.
Are they vegetarian?
Yeah, it's all, the soup is vegetarian.
Canadians?
Yes, and...
Yum. So, what was your name?
Merle.
With the full mouth.
Merle.
Merle, I
Yeah.
chose a bad time to ask you, sorry.
No, it's okay. I always tell people it rhymes with pearl.
Is that an American accent I hear there?
So yeah, American.
Never mind, we won't hold it against you.
Yeah.
Oh, San Francisco doesn't count. San Francisco's going independent, isn't it? Isn't San Francisco going independent? Well, it needs Yeah, had a tough time in San Francisco, isn't it?
Here it is.
Oh, thanks.
You've been here how long?
3.5 years.
Yeah. So are you relinquishing your American citizenship yet?
No, never. You know, you can be dual citizens.
I know, but
American and Australian.
I know you can, but I know a lot of people who are
No, I never will. I
Getting
think
rid of
it's
it.
the most valuable.
partly because of tax reasons. It's very complicated doing all the tax returns and expensive. I know people have been doing it for years and say, I've had enough of this, and spent a long time getting out of it.
Yeah, as long as you're an American citizen, you have to file taxes. But you're not double taxed.
Well, not
You
yet.
just have to declare.
We're in San Francisco.
Just a little bit outside San Francisco.
So you're working here? Does that make you an academic? No?
I'm a mental health counsellor. I do therapy all day with Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander folks.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I work in an Aboriginal medical clinic.
Must be tough.
No, I love it. It's really great.
Yeah, there must be lots of...
Taking a deep dive into the culture. A lot. I've learned a lot. I work a lot with elders, so like the Stone
Which is a good point. Thank you for reminding me. So what sort of community were you involved with in San Francisco?
I had a private practice.
No, Jewish community.
Oh, Jewish community. Foster City, California. It was I guess you would call it progressive. Sure. It wasn't orthodox. But then I joined Chabad, so Chabad changed my life a lot. I like Chabad a lot.
Which bit? The Ruah?
Oh, I don't know
Which bit do you, what was it about Chabad that you liked?
No, I grew up Orthodox. Used to go to Orthodox shul, the women sit upstairs. So I felt like it was more like that. But I like this congregation too. It's more accessible and yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, I think that the key thing should actually be being local to your community. I think once you have to drive, there's several people here this morning who had to drive 40 minutes to get to shul.
Oh, no. That's the thing, there aren't many shuls in Brisbane.
I know. Sure, you can buy the shul next door and the house next door and double your size. Yes. Yep. So let's try this churro so we can see what it was like on its own.
This area's been amalgamated to do units, like this street has really added over time, and lots of small houses where developers have amalgamated blocks and sort of created unit blocks.
You might want to see if they're interested in a double block. We're talking about a possibility. The developer might be interested in the two.
Is that it?
Are you done with your egg, Carl? So you done with your egg?
Yeah.
You haven't got suitable location that they've got in return for this, because of the opportunity of the double lock. It's difficult to do it in the time scale that they would require, but it might be worth exploring.
Is there anyone that doesn't have soup that wants soup? Okay.
That was yummy, thank you. So if there's any of you still online, I just want to describe the delicious eggs in salt water we've just had, followed by vegetable soup with canadles, and I hope you're enjoying your dinner. And I hope your mozza was crunchy. The big one I had was not crunchy at all. And do join us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for our fascinating study and mozza breakfast. And if you want to stick around, we've got more of the service after the meal.
It's very tricky though where everyone lives.
You know, you were going to do a plan of where they are, but it's very well
People are west,
widely spread.
west of the city, actually. So I don't think you ever get a perfect location. We live in Charlotte. In Victoria.
Or is west less likely to flood? That depends.
Parts of where we are, a lot. I don't think this is like area floods.
Well, you're up in the hills. It's quite elevated up here. I think you'd have a problem getting a planning permit now because of parking. It's surprising that you got this without parking actually. I wonder how they did that. They may not have realised that we need to drive on shop.
That's a constraint. We have people all parked. It would be quite a walk actually. Because there's only so much room in the street, really. Like tonight, that's probably Brisbane's got a very
Yeah, I want to make an announcement, but I'm not that type of person. If I could have everyone's attention, please. Those of you who are vegan or vegetarian, and that's what you wrote on your form, if you could make your way out the door and come through to the kitchen, we have your food ready for you, and then we'll get the rest of us. We have prepared them special. Thank you. Way out the door and come through
Don't step back.
Take mine. No, take mine, because I'm eating in there. Yeah. Because I'm doing the things, yes. So it's easier.
Especially because people, it's so obvious. So
Yeah, it was so obvious. Like even me from Australia, I had rumors that something is going to happen. Everybody knows that it's going to happen. How can so there are no answers for that. Yeah, really. And it's my dad passed away. It's like
You done the soups? Yeah. And I think that's, what's her name? Karen. Yes, so I think that
we live in Manila, which is the hinterland. Oh! Yeah, so I'm mostly online. I've been really enjoying I'm a psychologist. And I was talking about being a professor again.
Okay, yes.
Because I was in the States.
And you find a place to
But I didn't just run the practice.
You want a place, right?
Where did you teach? Where did you
And you got your job.
I don't know what
Yes, for sure. Yes, you too. Always good to see you.
They don't have as much, I don't think here, but they have university well, you have, it's like a time difference. Okay. It's problematic because, the university has a whole design.
I just sold my phone last Saturday, so I'm looking for a line and I'll put it like a bit in the bag and the fridge when I left school, we did a trip from Cape Town up to Namibia, back out again. We literally just drove and then parked the car on the side of the road. It was so funny. There is certainly the services that people are needing. There's outback schools, so they're very well set up with internet, so you're teaching across the whole region. Really?
It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Oh. When you living back? Okay, well, it's still sitting in a good flat because I pulled it out on Thursday.
It could take like 6 months. It's totally
I'll put it up on the wall until this next time.
Why not? We could want to. So, come back in June just to pick up TJ and fly to the US.
Yeah.
But then come back in July when he starts term 3.
Plenty of time.
I have plenty of other projects.
San Francisco.
Have you had many visitors over there?
My wife and my best friend came to visit. But otherwise, you know what, I don't have many people so far.
Ross and Anna, that's mom.
Hannah, you know when they asked you who are you when you came in the door? It reminded me that some years ago, in Britain, when I was opening up, when I was the rabbi caretaker, and I opened up the shul before the service, and somebody was there waiting, and I didn't know who it was, I didn't recognise him. I'd only been there about 10 years. And I said, Shalom, who are you? And he told me, I didn't recognise him. I said, are you visiting us? He said, no, I'm a member. Who are you? You know, and this is not so funny, but in an old people's home where you say, hello, who am I? Sadly, sometimes true.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sadly, sometimes true.
Yes.
Did you prefer a big congregation, Jonathan, to a smaller one? Like, how did you find the experiences over the years with the different sizes?
I always chose not to work in a big congregation. A Leo Bet, it's all relative. Leo Bet was the same sort of size as in Britain. I think in Britain it would be considered medium size, and here it was probably upper medium size, but the size is about the same. About 300 souls. I wouldn't want it. I actually made a decision when I wanted to move from whatever the congregation was. I was at Hartsmith Progressive in Britain. I couldn't see the point in just getting to know a new congregation and going to a bigger congregation would be just more pressure from bar mitzvah preparation and funerals and that's where I decided it was time to come back to Australia. When the kids were just the right age to move from schools and so on. So we always said we wanted to come back at the right time, so that turned out to be the right time.
And what is there big differences with the UK and Australia? How the rabbinical setup works?
Well, the vast majority of congregations and rabbis are in London. So
it dominates.
Well, therefore the rabbis met every month in London. And I don't remember anybody ever suggesting we should ever have a meeting in Manchester or Liverpool. So obviously they just came on the train and accepted that the bulk was in London. And here, obviously Melbourne and Sydney are the two centres. And they have only a conference once a year rather than meeting once a month.
Were the conferences valuable?
Yeah. And the conferences produce the decisions to make the prayer books and the
big. How many of you worked on the prayer book?
I actually think they're about 4 years each. And we really need to do the Haggadah again. You know, in part because they're out of print. We can't get them anymore. But in part because they're out of date and they need updating. We need to bring the language into line with the prayer books. So it could be one of those retirement projects, except what's retirement? Oh, it's all a bit on hold until we've got a place to live, because it's really difficult not having a base to work from. And it takes it can take a lot of time to get the house sorted. And
how long is the build going to be?
Well, a factory build is only 3 months.
Oh, right. That's pretty good.
That's one of the benefits.
Yeah, that is really good.
No, there are 2 reasons. Actually, I have 3 reasons. One of them is that people don't realise that every house build on a site is a completely new project. And they haven't built on that site before. You know the soil conditions and what you might find and the weather. That's the first thing, is everyone is unique, whereas in the factory there might be a different arrangement, but they're just going through a machine, a production machine. And then the second thing is that it's undercover, so there's no problem with rain or drought, and they just start the project at the beginning and it's 3 months done. And the third thing is that the workforce is all there, permanently employed. You know, when you're on the site, you've got to schedule in the carpenters and the bricklayers and the plumbers, and sometimes they come, they're working on 2 or 3 jobs, and they'll do 2 days on and then disappear for a week, and they're weighing up, tossing up the other jobs. Whereas in the factory, they're all working for the company, and they're moved from the one thing to the next in an order. It makes a huge difference. It's much more sensible. And there is another thing as well. It's much more environmentally friendly because there's much less waste. And part of it is because if they're using half a board, they'll put it back in stock and use it for the next one. And when they do have offcuts and so on, they get into the offcut bin for the plastics or for the timber or for the plasterboard, and they're recycled to the manufacturers. And they pick them up when they make a delivery. They pick them up, and they know they've got a bin full of recycling, and they'll do whatever's the best thing for it. So overall, environmentally speaking, it's the best way of doing it. Assuming we can sort out the problem of how to guarantee it.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky. It is a bit tricky.
We'll get there. We've actually done a finance report, Dun and Bradstreet report on this building company, and they have a very clean record. There's no reports of questions or problems, and they give them a 0.03 chance of folding. So it's not really something we're worried about, but just in terms of a safeguard, even so. And especially given what
the backdrop is.
Uncertainty of Trump and sudden changes. And that's actually the problem as well. Since COVID, there's been a timber shortage. There was a big timber shortage. And the reason was because America was buying all our timber for building, because America put a lot of money into promoting continuing the building and trade. And so they were buying our timber because they couldn't get enough timber from their normal sources. I don't know why. Well, I don't know why COVID affected their normal sources, but so Australian timber was in scarce supply here. And so at that time, the other builder moved from timber to steel.
Oh, right, for all the internal framing, yeah.
You don't want to use steel because it's got very high embodied energy. Uses a lot of energy to make it. And also, it's a conductor of heat and cold. So all the wall structure is actually conveying the temperature from inside to outside or vice versa. It's not ideal for an environmental house. It's not impossible. It just means more insulation. That means more product and more cost.
Are there building covenants where you're going to put the house? You could build anything you want?
No. You actually have to build just 7.5 stars, which is half a star more than the general country's requirement. But you also have to have a signed neighbours agreement, so you're not overshadowing, taking their sun, or too much bulk looking out of their window. So that, unlike an ordinary planning permit where neighbours can object, in this case, with ours, we've already got a signed agreement from negotiating with the neighbours, which should make it all quicker and easier, because that's often the big delay. But it's not a covenant as such in that you can build whatever you want, and whatever, as long as you're fitting in whatever style, whatever materials, as long as it meets the 7.5 stars. Which actually has resulted in some pretty ugly buildings.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the mix of architectural style?
Well, from an environmental point of view, we're a great asset because we've got all of these very energy efficient houses with different styles and materials all in the one place. So we quite often have academic studies about how they're performing in different sorts of buildings in the same place. But in styles, we've got mud brick and we've got straw bale, and they look, have distinctive looks. And we've got an earth ship, which is sort of partially submerged and has a big greenhouse along one side. And we've got a nice one I like is actually two houses, a primary and secondary dwelling, joined by a huge deck. And it's actually two twins and their partners who share this two houses and the central deck, and that's where they eat and meet and often.
Cool.
That's fabulous. It's a great solution. But we have a couple of modular homes which are really ugly. Ours aren't going to be like that, but these two
are a bit of an eyesore, aren't they?
They are a bit of an eyesore, and the company that built one of them actually folded after that was the last house they built. And that's not surprising because I'm sure it performs very nicely and it's quite nice inside, but the outside is just. And somebody has commented about, I don't know why you're so impressed with the eco-village, it's a terrible eyesore of different styles. I don't think it's fair, but those two houses don't help. Here's an announcement for this is an announcement for any Afikoman hunters. Any Afikoman hunters, you can now start looking for the Afikoman. We can't start the second part of the Seder without the Afikoman. Remember, it's got to match this half. It's got to match this, so we're going to put it together and make sure it matches. And there may be a little reward, I don't know, for the person that finds it. It was wrapped in a white serviette, and it's somewhere in this room or in the hallway. But there is a bit of a however. The however is, first of all, don't drop it and break it because it needs to match this. And you know matzah breaks very easily, as you've seen. But secondly, there are a few others hidden around as well.
Yes.
I'm told. Decoys. So remember, it's got to match this.
I know the synagogue very well.
Oh, you know you do.
So I know good high.
Yeah, you do. Good. Okay, we're going to test. We've got some results. We found two.
Where did you find them?
Okay, here's the first one. Now, let's see. Will this fit?
No.
Oh dear, not that one, sorry. Not that one. Okay, let's try this one.
And then this one.
Oh.
This one looks too black.
Who thought to hide decoys?
There's two more. Nope.
How many? No, 6.
Not that one, sorry.
Let's continue with this one. Ready? It looks awfully close, but I
Oh, that looks very cool. No. No, sorry. Yeah, where did you find that one? That? Oh no, but no.
none of them are.
Not yet. Keep looking. Oh, how many? Who's been hiding decoy Africans? Let's try this one then.
There's still more. Have you been over there? Have you been over there?
Yes, we went to the bookcase.
What have you put on?
You went in the bookcase.
There's one more.
That's not one.
No, that's not. Did you find one there?
Have you done that one?
Oh, this one. Well, we're just waiting.
Here's the...
Oh, is that a reward? Thank you. Excellent.
I presume you're not going to... There's only one reward.
Should be only one, yes. Oh, you found one. Oh, is that the one? It's broken.
Wait, maybe if we can connect to me, we both found it.
You both done. Let's have a look and see.
Nope.
Well, it might be.
Yeah, it might be.
Over that
It
way.
might be. Let's see. Is that one fits? But that doesn't.
No. Sorry.
This does.
Oh, hang on. There's one more here. Who found this one?
That was you. You found the one in there, didn't you?
Yeah, we found the one.
Yes.
Well, I hope this is it, because if we can't find it, we can't finish the Seder. Let's see. Is that...
It looks a lot.
Yes, that's it.
I think that's it. Up the other way.
Oh, we found another one.
Just one more.
How many decoys are there here?
Surely.
I think that's it.
Oh, it dropped when I was running to
I
go.
don't think that's the one.
Oh wait, that is.
Oh, no, that isn't.
No.
There's one more.
Let's just try this one again.
I think if you invert that.
Other way.
It's like we're saying upside down.
Upside down. What? Like that, you mean?
Yes. Little fish, you see?
There we go.
Ta-da!
Oh, who found that then?
That was us.
All right, we better reward you then. There we
I
go.
found like
Some
4.
gold for you. Change for you. Well done, thank you for helping us with the Afikoman hunt. Ah, what a relief.
You have a very nice place here. I have to drive back to the Gold Coast. So I'm going to leave now. Thank you for having us.
Have some out, and I love your matching top and
I do that often.
you change the cover too. Have some out, nice to meet you. And what was your name? Bernice. Nice to meet you. You are Tamar?
Tammy.
Or Tammy? Tammy for Tamar? Or just Tammy?
Say Tamar,
Yeah.
but people call me Tammy.
Tammy. Okay, good.
I was never here, by the way. This is my first time.
So we're just saying goodbye to these two because they've got a long way to go back. So they come to us from the Gold Coast. This is Tammy and Bernice, and it's the first time they've been here. So we should say Shechianu Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Shechianu v'higianu lazman hazeh. And lovely to have them with us, and safe journey back, and come again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Hag Sameach.
Have some
Hiemanu v'higianu lazman. That's the word I missed out. Too many glasses of wine.
So is this just...
Yep. Melbourne. King David School in Melbourne. And Rabbi Levi. Oh, that's the John I was talking about. You know John Levi, don't you?
How old is he now? Is he still active or is he sort of retired voluntarily?
I'd say he's well retired. But he was involved in setting up the congregation. It's only been here many times. He was who was the rabbi who set up TBI? He wasn't the rabbi who set up TBI. He was the assistant to the rabbi who set up TBI. Herman Sanger. He was his assistant. And he was the first Australian rabbi ordained in the progressive rabbinate.
Have there been many Australian rabbis come out?
Probably half a dozen.
Okay. That's not that many. Women and men?
Yep. There might be a few more than that.
You have to be sponsored by more than one senior rabbi to get through? How does it work?
I don't know. And I don't know it's the same at all times. Not sure. We're going to, there's delicious looking desserts just being put together. But before we get to them, let's just make ourselves a bit of room by singing Chad Gadya. We're going to try the English version of Chad Gadya. I haven't tried that before, but again, it's Aramaic Chad Gadya, one kid, and we'll try. I don't see quite how it fits the first bit. The kid my father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. And came the cat that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. And came a dog and bit the cat, ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Does anybody know the tune, how to fit the tune better than that? Because it doesn't sound quite right. No? Okay. And came a stick and beat the dog, and bit the cat that ate the kid, the father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Which goes? Do you mean a faster version? You mean it goes faster? Yeah. Yes, well. And came a father, burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, the father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. And came the water and quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, bit the cat, that ate the kid, the father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. And came an ox and drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, bit the cat, ate the kid, that father bought for 2 zuzim, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. And came a shepherd and told the ox this. I'm just going to do I'm just going to do a verse in the Hebrew to see why it's not working. So it's on page 87. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya, Zabina ba bitrezuze, Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Okay, let's try that. Father bought for 2 zuzim. That is what I'm doing. It just doesn't sound right in English, you see. Okay, where are we up to? Shochet. And came a shochet and slaughtered the ox that drank. There's a word missing. That's something. And drank the water that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. That father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Came the angel of death and killed the shochet, slaughtered the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid, the father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. You're supposed to do it in one breath, you see. Each verse. Anybody want to do that? Oh, that was the last one. Then came the Holy One, blessed be God, who slew the angel of death. And that seems to be the end. Good. Oh, well done. Are we ready for? Do you know if we're ready for dessert? Waiting to be called. Like what? Which one? Page 94 in the Haggadah. And this is Echad mi Yodea. I see, so it's actually written in an English version, so you can lead it. I'll sing you one, oh, Echad mi Yodea, one is your one. One is God and one alone, and evermore shall be, so I'll sing you two. Shnayim mi Yodea, who are your two? 2 are the tables of the covenant. 1 is God and God alone, and nevermore shall be so. I'll sing you 3. Shlosha Miyodea, what are your 3? 3 are the patriarchs, 2 are the tablets of covenant. 3 are the patriarchs, 2 are the tablets of the covenant. Okay, good. Well, that's a Saved by the Bell. We're ready for dessert. Okay, far away. Is there instructions for? Out the door and around.
There's tea and coffee here.
Okay. I'll sing you one. Yeah, help me up the hill. That's not very good. Because we do that at the end of the after the meal. I'm just trying to fill in time.
Rabbi, you made a mess.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, put it all together. We can save them up, so
Oh, we'll save it for sure.
Yeah.
So
where's your accent from? Is that Scottish?
It is Scottish. It's a bit mixed. It's a bit all over the place.
La 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 la. Which bit of Scotland?
The Hebrides.
Oh, right, the outer Scotland.
It comes from the Hebrides?
He does. The Hebrides.
Shetland.
Yeah, that's not the Hebrides. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yes. In the end, yes. But it wasn't actually in the end. I found it, it was found earlier, I just put it off till we got to the last one that was standing. La 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 la. Da 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 da. Dum 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 ba da 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 dum ba da ba dum dum. La da 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 dum. Yeah, thank you.
Are we ready for dessert?
Oh, I gotta get some of that.
We know the poems. Are you getting dessert? No, the rabbi didn't need that. I'll do that after. I'll do that over here.
You've got some more.
Yeah, I went. That's why I went.
Snick the that was well. Not chocolate.
All over your nice plaster. Oh, that's frozen. No, pavlova. Frozen pav. Tell me something. Is Mavis upset with me?
I don't think so. She lost her son-in-law in the last 2 days, so I think she's...
It's just that I haven't seen her for a long time, and I wonder if she was not coming while I'm here for extra.
No, she's had a lot of sorrows, so I think it's been... And she's moved house.
Yeah.
So, okay. But I'm still getting back into the flow of having come back.
Yeah, all right, I'll send her a message then. She's lost her son-in-law. Unexpectedly?
I think he had been sick for a while, so it's sort of...
That's her daughter's husband.
I think so,
Okay, good. Always better to know.
I had a lot going on. She's not close. She's not as close to the shore. Physically, from a travel point of view.
Yep.
I was going to ask you one thing, Jonathan. Do you know anyone in the previous travels that does like an Italian board, like, you know, an artist or someone who has
Is it full up?
Yeah, see the tree on the cover.
Yeah.
We're going to replicate that as a new one. It's a little bit more modern a design.
So I have a cheap answer to that, but it is a question of whether you want a more modern design. Right? I've just bought one for Leo Beck, and I found a supplier of stick-on acrylic trees in a variety of sizes and colours, and you can get the leaves engraved. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't found the woodworker who could do it, but I'm sure anybody who likes working with wood will do it. But these start at $49.95, and a larger one's probably $99, and a larger one still is $149. So
Right.
cheap and easy way of getting it.
Yeah.
But they look very modern, and so where would you put it? What, in all those places?
No, just one. Just one. So when you say it's an acrylic tree, like it's...
So I'll get a picture of it. So you stick it on, so you can actually make it fit around things to some extent.
So just the branches are...
It's all
material.
acrylic. It's all acrylic. It's just cut out, and it comes as a sheet. It comes as sheets, black ones and gold ones, or green ones, or whatever colour you choose. And you press it out, so it's been laser cut in the sheet, and it's acrylic with a adhesive backing. So you press it out and peel the backing off and stick it on the wall.
So you just grade it on the wall. Yeah.
Good, or you can put it on a backing board if you wanted to.
Looks nice in that room.
Yeah, it's very modern, and what happened was I got one for Leo Beck as a leaving. We gave them one, and the idea was that people would put their children's bar mitzvah on, and $50 a leaf. It wasn't a lot of money. It was a cheap way of doing it. So we had a more expensive memorial plaque on the wall for $900 a time, but this was a cheap way of marking celebrations in the community and making a small donation at the same time.
Yeah, that's what.
And we had it up there and inscribed the trunk with my dates of arrival and departure, and we had the kids' bar mitzvahs up and name his degree and our wedding anniversary to start it off. And for some reason, I haven't gotten to the bottom of, they ripped it. I mean, and it took us months and months of negotiation and agreement with the different committees about where it could go. And we had a committee of arts approval, or any design approval had to go through to make sure it fitted in with the shul, which was a good thing to have because we had been given some terrible things. But, you know, this was unashamedly modern and shiny. But that fitted quite well with the shul, actually. And they looked really nice in the foyer, and they took it down when I left, or after I left, I found that they'd taken it down, and I never got to the bottom of why. But I'm going back there next month to lead a service, and they're running around feeling really guilty about it, and so they've ordered a new, smaller one, and they're putting it back up again.
So it's there when you arrive.
So I don't know what was behind that. I know that the person who's now head of house had a Broigus with me and was out of circulation while I was there. So I don't know if he came back and said, "Well, let's get rid of that for a start." That monstrosity. And I know it took me quite a long time to put it up, fit it, and get it engraved and running around.
Yeah, it's a lot to get things engraved. It takes time.
Yeah, but it's not.
So the leaves were a little bit more substantial?
No, they're all the same thickness. They're all the same thickness as the leaves are gold and the trunk was black in that case.
So you got a lot of those leaves pre-cut, so they've got a stack?
No, they're all pre-cut.
Oh, but pre-cut, but then getting
the whole thing. The whole thing is pre-cut. It's all laser cut. So you get sheets of black which have got the trunk, and you have to peel out and find out which bit goes where. There's a template. But basically, you peel them off, and then you peel the gold leaves off and put them on. But if you want to reserve them for engraving, I gave some of them to the engraver to hold.
Yeah.
So he did the ones I wanted, and he held the rest for.
Yeah, that's what you'd have a whole series for future donations that you just keep sitting there.
And in fact,
did you put them up blank, or did you just leave them off?
I don't remember, but if you put them up, you're going to use the adhesive. You can't pull it off, get them engraved, and put it on again. So maybe I didn't put them. Maybe it was an autumn tree with a few leaves, and then they grow over time. But it looked okay. I don't know if I've got any pictures, but you see, some of the leaves are single. Most of the leaves are single, but some are double and triple. So we charge a bit more if you wanted to put a bigger inscription on it. So a single leaf was $50, and a double was $75, and a triple was $100 or something. So never really took off. I don't know that I got anybody sufficiently engaged with the idea. I don't remember if they sold any leaves actually. I think it was just when I was in the process of departing and wanted to do it as a leaving gift. But anyway. We'll see. I'll tell you what. I'll take a picture of it when we see it.
Yeah, if it comes back.
I mean, I can show you different colours. Oh, here we are. This is the. This is what they look like engraved. And I think we then filled them in black. The engravers can fill it in with black. They weren't very expensive to engrave.
No.
I think they probably charged me $8 or $9 to engrave them, so selling them for $50. You know, the leads cost nothing effectively, except the engraving, and then. Oh, I didn't realise I had that. Jonathan and Sue, 40th wedding anniversary. I should send them these to get them done again.
Someone's probably feeling very guilty.
Are we ready to go? If anybody wants a third helping of dessert, sorry. If any children want a third helping, if anybody else wants a second helping, just go around. Otherwise, we'll get started again. Because we haven't finished. You know, a lot of people think Seder finishes by the time the meal comes, but that's not quite correct. We will finish by 10. We might even finish by 9:30, but we do have a bit more to go.
to be there. But what time are you doing yours? 10. Yeah, we've seen
Okay, but we've got two things tomorrow. Just fill in tomorrow, just a moment. 10 o'clock I've done the advert already for the 10 o'clock breakfast, matzo breakfast, black cherry jam, and a study about a really interesting part of the story that you haven't heard, probably. And it helps to understand the story of Israelite slavery in a full context, measure for measure sort of context.
Will it be online as well?
I expect so. I don't do the online, but I expect so.
I loved how you did that today, because you looked at us, because I was online.
Good. Did I connect? I was trying to remember to do that. Okay. And then so that's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And if you're a bit late, that's fine. If you 10:30, that's fine. But at 12 o'clock we have a matzah hunt. So all those pieces of matzah that have just been found in the shul, they're going to be hidden. I mean, there are going to be more pieces to find tomorrow. And when you found them, we're going to eat our matzah picnic together. You don't have to eat the pieces you find. So there's a matzah picnic for lunch from 12 o'clock, matzah hunt and matzah picnic at 12 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock onwards is a breakfast study. So it's eating matzah all day, basically. Attractive. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
See you tomorrow. Okay.
Great. Lovely. I seem to have all eaten of sufficiency. Certainly I have. I should have remembered to bring my larger trousers with me.
Oh, actually, you'll need the drinks.
Oh, you still need your wine glasses? Because we've got 2 more glasses to go of wine. Take them back. All right. Let's continue. So I want to thank the kitchen staff. Gail and the team who worked so hard to make such a delicious meal. Pesach Seder, an achievement. And having thanked the people who prepared it, and we extend that to thank everybody who grew it and farmed it and put it in the shops and everything. So we remember that food does not grow on trees, so to speak. Well, sometimes it does, but we're now going to thank God for providing enough food for us to eat. So I hope everybody's had a sufficiency. As it says, we have been eaten and satisfied. Oh no, it doesn't say that. We have eaten and been satisfied. Ha ha ha. Right. So we're going to sing some of Birkat Hamazon. That's the grace after meals. We're not going to do all of it, but we'll do some of it. Page 60. Shir hamalach b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu k'chomim az yimale sechok pinu u'leshonenu rina az yamru v'goyim Higdil Adonai la'asot imele Higdil Adonai la'asot imanu Hayenu semechim Shuv Adonai et shivitenu Kafikim ba'negeb Hazorim b'dima b'rina yikzaru Halach yele uvacho Nose meshech hazara Bo yavo brina Nose alu matav. And on page 62 is a bit to be responsive. Chavarai nevarech Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach Mi'ata V'ad Olam Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach Mi'ata V'ad Olam Birshut Chavrei Nevarech Shechanu Mishalo Baruch Shechanu Mishalo Tvo Chayinu. Baruch Shechanu Mishalot V'Chayinu. Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. It's banging table time now. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Hazan et HaOlam Kulo B'Tuvo B'Chein B'Chesed V'Rachamim Hu Noten Lechem L'Chol Basar Ki Le'olam Hasdo Ki Le'olam Hasdo U'Tuvo HaGadol Tamid Lo Chasalanu V'Halech Salanu Mahazon Le'olam Va'ed Ba'avur Shemo HaGadol Ki Huzon Mefanes L'Kol U'Meitiv L'Kol U'Mechin Mahazon L'Chol Briotav Asher Bara Baruch Atah Adonai Hazon et HaKol. Page 64. This is the center of grace. This is from Deuteronomy. It says, when you've eaten and been satisfied, then you should say thank you to God for the food and the land which produced it. So it's that this is really the essence of Birkat Hamazon. All the rest is built around it. Ka'katu v'yachalta v'savata u'barachta et Adonai Elohecha al ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach baruch atah Adonai al ha'aretz v'al Hamazon. And the bottom of page 65, asking for a rebuilt Jerusalem, and bearing in mind that Jerusalem should be as peaceful, the earthly Jerusalem should be as peaceful as the heavenly Jerusalem, in the image of the rabbis. Uvenei Yerushalayim Ira Kodesh B'meira V'yameinu Baruch Atah Adonai Bonei B'rachamam Yerushalayim. Amen. And on page 68, Arachaman hu yanchilenu yom shekulo tov. May the merciful one cause us to inherit a day of total goodness. Arachaman, 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 Arachaman. Harachaman, Harachaman, Harachaman. You can do this. Harachaman, Harachaman, Harachaman. Harachaman, Harachaman, Harachaman. Harachaman, 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 Harachaman. That was easy, wasn't it? Oseh shalom b'maramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael b'maru. Amen. On top of page 69, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Who's in year 10? Anybody in year? What year are you in? We should do Adonai oz le'amo year 10. Adonai oz le'amo year 8. Okay, we come to the third cup of wine. So fill up your wine. And we remember the third promise of freedom. Ga'alti etchem bizroa natiyah. There's that word, outstretched arm, zeroa, shank bone. Okay? And we say the blessing for the wine, and then we lean and drink the wine. Got more room to lean now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei hari hagafen. Yum. Now we come to Elijah's cup. Now, I was going to say, would somebody like to open the door? But the door's already open. I want to make a quick comment about security here. The door is open, and the idea is to show everybody out there that there's nothing untoward going on here. In particular, we are not using non-Jewish children's blood to make matzah. And that's not really fun. I mean, it sounds funny, but that's the blood libel. And that's been going on. That was the cause of the expulsion of the Jews from Britain, and then from basically from all over Europe, as that accusation that little Hugh's blood in Norwich or Lincoln? Norwich, I think. Is it Lincoln? A child apparently disappeared, and his name was Hugh, Christian child, and the accusation was that the Jews needed the blood to make matzah, and that was the beginning of the blood libel. And in many places, in many ways, that has come up again and again. So we open the doors at this point to show that there's nothing untoward happening here, and we finish drinking the blood. And yeah, that's right. It's the first law of kashrut, is you pour out the blood of the animal on the floor because the blood is the life. So, that's why we have koshering salt, to draw out all the blood, because we don't drink blood. That's why we have salt beef, by the way, things like that, is to get the blood out of it. So it really is very ignorant, as Sue says, but unfortunately, nevertheless, that doesn't stop it going round and still doing the rounds. And it's in the protocols of the Elders of Zion, and it's just repeated and repeated. So it's not really funny, but I mention it because we've opened the door is open, but we have to mention that the gate is locked, and we have to have security on the gates. And that's an unfortunate situation, and it relates back to when Sue and I led a trip to Girona in the north of Spain. And Girona is a fascinating story because there was a really important medieval Jewish community there, and they were expelled. A Girona, Catalan local amateur archaeologist who lived in Girona worked out that there was an area between two streets in the corner that you actually couldn't access. And he got permission to break through one of the walls, and he found the Jewish quarter intact. And they made it into a centre for mysticism. In fact, it was where Kabbalah was introduced across the Pyrenees into Spain by a blind rabbi called Isaac the Blind, or Isaac el Set. And so it's very... if you come across rabbis called Gerondi, it means from Girona. So it's a very significant place. But the reason I mention it in this context is because, bless you, there's a window. When they discovered this place, they found a window in a very narrow alley where the roofs almost touched between the one house and the house on the other side of the alley, outside the Jewish quarter. And they found a window, and they couldn't understand what was the point of building a window, because this alley was there all the time, the house was there. There was no way light could come in. Why would they build a window? And they then consulted with Jewish specialists and realised that this was for use on Passover, when it was dangerous to open the door and show, because you could be attacked. Unfortunately, in that period in Spain, often at Easter time, the priests would go and rile up the flock to go and pour hot oil or stones on the Jewish community, stone the Jewish community. The Jews were the property of the king and queen, and the church was responsible for looking after them, except at times when the church was responsible for stoning them. And it's a very disturbing period of Spanish Jewish history. But basically, they found this door. It was for opening the door to show everybody and to fulfill the obligation of Elijah's cup now, but without being dangerous. So we read, this evening is called a night of watching, Leil Shomrim. And tonight we've travelled from degradation and slavery to dignity, and now we must look to the future and begin to dream. So let's read this now. Once it was dangerous to open the doors of a Jewish house at the beginning of Seder. We remember all those years when we hoped that Israel would be free. We celebrate the tradition that Eliyahu the prophet would return to his people and lead us to freedom. The Jewish people lives in hope that Eliyahu will return. And on the next page, we're not going to read it, but there's a piece here called Shpoch Hamatcha Al Hagoyim. It means pour out your anger on the nations. And we find in different Haggadahs and different traditions, there are different versions of this, and they relate to the persecution that they were facing in that particular time. And so it's important to remember how lucky we are to still live in freedom, even if we have to worry about taking care of security and nutters. So who want to destroy the Jewish people. So we'll sing about Elijah, Eliyahu Hanavi, and then we'll try and do the verse on the next page, which is about Miriam Hanavi'ah, Elijah the prophet and Miriam the prophetess. And it probably won't quite fit. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilati, Bimera B'yameinu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Miriam Neviah, Oz v'zimra b'yada, Miriam tirkod itanu, l'taken et ha'olam. Good. Abruptly concludes. Right, now we continue with Hallel. We started the Hallel Psalms of praise. We're going to do a little bit more of the Hallel Psalms, page 73. Hallelu et Adonai kol goyim, shabachu kol ha'umim, ki gavar alenu chasdo ve'emet Adonai le'olam, hallelujah. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasdo. That bit repeats regularly. Yoma na Yisrael. Coming up now. Ki le'olam chasdo yamaruna Beit Or. Here it comes again. Ki le'olam chasdo yamruna Irei Adonai. Last time. Ki le'olam chasdo. Now, bottom of page 75, let's read. If only our mouths filled with song as the sea, and our tongues with joy as the endless waves, our lips full of praise as the heavens are wide, and our eyes shining like the sun and the moon. If only our hands spread out in prayer as eagle's wings, and our feet as swift as the deer, we would still be unable to thank you and bless your name, our God and God of our people, for a single one of the thousands and tens of thousands of good things that you have given to our ancestors and to us. You freed us from Mitzrayim and rescued us from a life of slavery. And I perhaps should have much earlier mentioned that Mitzrayim is Egypt. Most people would know that, but maybe some people, younger people, didn't get that. Mitzrayim relates to Egypt. It's a Hebrew name for Egypt. And it means the straits, the narrows. And it relates to the fact that most of Egypt's population lives down the Nile, in the floodplain of the Nile. That's the fertile area. And I saw a satellite picture of the Middle East at night not long ago, and it's very obvious. All the light down Egypt is along the Nile. You know, you can see that it's still the narrows, the area that's the narrows. And in a sense, slavery is the narrows, the confines. And when they came to the desert, they weren't in the narrows anymore. They weren't confined by slavery. So. Okay, we come to the fourth cup. And to fill up your fourth cup, give me a little bit more. Oh, it's all right. I've got a fair bit left. That'll do me. If there's anybody still online, thanks for being with us. Fourth cup. V'lakachta etchem li la'am, v'hayita lachem lelohim. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. I'm not really sure why that's a redemption promise, but there we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hag. Fourth cup. Okay. Now we come to the last step in the 15, and it says the service now concludes, but really it's concluding with these songs. So the last part, page 78, let's read together. The Seder service now concluding, complete in all its laws and customs. May God, who broke Pharaoh's power, O pure one who dwells above, establish us as a countless people, speedily guide us as a people redeemed, to the land of Zion with song. Shalom, shalom to everyone. And in the next page, we have a beautiful picture of Jerusalem, peaceful and harmonious, and everybody holding hands. May it be that way. Yes, the sun shining. L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, l'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, l'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, b'Yerushalayim habnuya, l'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, l'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, l'shana haba b'Yerushalayim habnuya. Next year in Jerusalem, next year in a rebuilt Jerusalem, next year in a Jerusalem, I would say, of moderation and kindness and compassion for all its inhabitants. We come to a couple of songs, and if anyone's got a preference for a song, yeah, I know, when we get to Echad Miyodeh, yeah. Okay, we might do a snippet of various. We're going to do Idea Who, page 85. We had the Idea Who tune earlier, but now we're actually going to do a bit of Idea Who. Idea Who, Yivnei Beit Or Bakarov, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bakarov, Hail B'nai, B'nai Beit Bakarov, Bahu, Gadolhu, Dagulhu, Yivnei Beit Or Bakarov, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bakarov, Hail B'nai Beit Bakarov, Haduhu, Vatikhu, Zakaihu, Chasidhu, Yivnei Beit Or Bakarov, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bakarov, Hail B'nai Beit Bakarov, Tohu, Yachidhu, Tabirhu, Lamuthu, Melechhu, Norahu, Sagibhu, Izuzhu, Hodehu, Tzadikhu, Yivnei Beit Or Bakarov, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bakarov, Hail B'nai Beit Bakarov, Kadoshu, Rachumhu, Shaddaihu, Takifhu, Yivnei Beit Or Bakarov, Bimheira, Beyameinu Bakarov, Hail B'nai Beit Bakarov. And Chad Gadya, we did already, didn't we? Yeah, okay, good. I'm very glad. Then we get a lovely colour page picture. I don't know what that is. Echad mi yodea is what you're asking for?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to lead it? Go on.
Drop.
Echad mi yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Shnayim ani yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Shosha ani yodea. Echad Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Arba ani yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Chamisha ani yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Shisha ani yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Shiva ani yodea. Eloheinu, 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 Sheba Shemayim u'ba'aretz. Well, that's a good place to stop there at the end of the page. It looks like it's finished. Actually, it goes on 13, getting longer and longer, so we'll skip that. But very nicely done. Thank you, Daniel. If anybody wants to stay after to do the remainder, they can. Lovely. And so there's that English version. All right. When Moses was in Egypt, when let my people go. That one, yeah. Okay, good. I think that concludes our Seder for tonight. 9:30 is a record, really. That's very good. Long way to go. Thank you, everybody, for coming and participating. Thank you for being online. Thank you, kitchen team and cooking team and everybody who brought things. And thank you, everybody, for maintaining this community and making it such a lovely place to visit, and warm and welcoming and supportive of new people to our community and established people. So congratulations to all you do, and Hag Sameach. See you at 10 tomorrow, if you can make it. Hag Sameach.
Okay, you look a bit tired there, Jonathan. You've got a long day. Well done.
Hi, Rabbi. The guy that just spoke to me, she's left her glasses here. They're coming in the morning.
Okay.
Can I just leave them, get them open?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. No, okay. All right. Sheba Sheba
Thank you.
Aksamayaf, nice to see you again. What's your name? Elijah. Oh, that's a good name for a Pesach. Yeah. Elijah, are you here to herald the Messiah time?
Yes.
Are you here to announce the Messiah coming? Maybe. Elijah. You know Elijah's the prophet. Yes. Prophet. Okay, good.
You sound better. Oh, well done you. You sound much better.
Oh, that's the plague of darkness, is it? It is. It's the plague of darkness. Is he your young man?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's in the dark.
He is.
Do you want an excuse to get out?
No,
You're on clean up, aren't you?